Well, Miss Laura, how are you? Are you ready to go? Oh my goodness. Oh, hey, you just turned your camera off. You're trying to unmute yourself, aren't you? I think Desi.
Am now.
All right, all right, all right. Thank you, thank you. Well, we're going to shift the energy and go very high. Laura is a high vibe energy healer, and she is also an activist. Oh, you in the right crowd. She was a media consultant to national nonprofit organizations, so you two need to talk, for over a decade. A multiple best-selling author and founder of Mojo Reiki. She's a shamanic Reiki master. She's incredible. We've talked so much about your life as an activist and some of the things that you've done from a media standpoint. And she really is a believer of standing up and speaking up and showing up for things that are important to you. And she's going to talk to us today about how to keep your vibe high and let go of things that no longer serve us. Doesn't that sound yummy? That is yummy. I want that for lunch. Okay. So the interesting thing that you may not know about her is that she gave away everything she had and moved to Colorado knowing no one. Now, there's no surprise that when I asked her what music that she likes, it was Freebird. I'm like, well, that ain't more free than Freebird, but if we all love Leonard Skinner, that's amazing. So let's have a conversation a little bit about what it is that you do and share with us a little bit on how to keep your vibe high and let go of the things that no longer serve you.
Hi, everybody. My name is Laura, and my mission is helping women find strength and inner peace. Um, we were talking about listening to your inner voice, but I also want to talk about not listening to your inner critic. Because if you don't listen to your inner critic, you can step into your power and you can live a high vibe and authentic life. So, I just want to mention music again because that is also a big part of my life. But one of my favorite lines is it's the Eagles, and it's a song called Already Gone. And the words are, so oftentimes it happens that we live our lives in chains and we never even know we hold the key. So what I want to do is I want to help people break free. I want to help them find the key that allows them to have a breakthrough moment, that allows them to be all that they can be. So that's my goal. All right.
Now, can I feed off on that a little bit? Can I divert a little bit and talk about, so when we talk about a breakthrough moment, so I can hear the questions out there because that's how we're having this conversation. It's like, is it when you wake up and have clarity? Is it when you step out of your comfort zone? Like, and what is the benefit of acting on that breakthrough? Like, do you know what I'm talking about?
I absolutely know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I want to tell you a story a little bit. It's not necessarily you wake up in the morning and something is clear. It's sometimes hearing yourself thinking negative thoughts or thinking thoughts that keep you from doing something that you would otherwise have done. So I have an interesting story. Um, about 4 years ago, my husband and I went to San Diego, and we love Southern California. We go a lot. But this time we decided to go up the coast and we went to La Jolla. And just above La Jolla is a place called Torrey Pines. So for those who aren't familiar, that's a beautiful grassy area that drops off into the ocean. And it's a place where a lot of people go paragliding and parasailing. And it's just so awesome to stand up there and watch the people going over the ocean. Well, I was watching and admiring it. And my husband says to me, you know, you want to do that. And I'm like, no, I don't. And he goes, you know, you want to do that. And I'm like, no, I don't. I'm afraid of heights. In that moment, I heard myself limit myself by saying, I'm afraid of heights. So I grabbed my wallet, walked over to the Welcome Center, and I plunked down my money and I went out onto the field and I got an instructor that strapped me into a paraglide. paragliding thing and strapped himself in the back, and we took off and went out over the ocean, and it was amazing. Now, did I enjoy it? Kinda. Would I do it again? No. But it allowed me to cross something off my bucket list. Well, it wasn't even on my bucket list, but I would not have allowed myself to have that opportunity had I listened to that inner critic that was telling me that I was afraid. So that's one of the big ways in which to calm that inner critic so you can step into an authentic life and be more high vibe around what you're doing.
I love that. I thank you so much for that story because it's funny, right? It's that when you can stand outside yourself,
Mhm.
what and hear yourself in that way, where you hear it, it's almost like you hear it for the first time. But you've probably been saying it, or you've said it in a casual conversation, or you've had lunch with friends, or someone's gone bungee jumping and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm so afraid of heights. I would never do that. It's so casual in our conversations, some of the ways that we hold ourselves back, or some of the ways that we think about ourselves, or things like, oh, I could never get away with that outfit, right?
Mhm.
Or I could never da 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 da. Those things because dot 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 of what we think or something that's happened or what have you. I think that's an incredible way to describe a breakthrough moment because sometimes people think that breakthrough. Now look at when you're coaching with someone, I'm sure it's in the moment and it's special and you see it and you sense it and you have that coach, right? You have that coach experience where you're like, yes, it's that inner yes for your client, but that it doesn't have to be huge. Those breakthroughs or choosing to vibe up doesn't have to be moving a mountain.
Yes, and one of my favorite quotes, and I've seen it on a bumper sticker. I call it bumper sticker wisdom because it's easy to remember. Is you don't have to believe everything you think. And when I saw that on a bumper sticker, I mean, it stopped me in my tracks, and I thought, wow, that is like so profound. And once you start adopting that thought that you don't have to believe everything you think, you can actually start seeing people make up stuff and believe it to be true. And that's one of the things that not believing everything you think helps with is allowing yourself to look at what you're making up in your mind or what your inner critic is making up in your mind. Like, well, my friend didn't return my text, so she must be mad at me. And then you act accordingly. Well, she was having a bad day and she was taking a hot bath and, whatever. But we make those things up. And once you
Mm.
start realizing that, you can see it in other people. So I have a story about that if you want to hear it.
I do want to. Who wants to hear the story?
Okay.
I want to hear the
All
story.
right. I got lots of stories.
I
So
I love learning through story. Right? Isn't that beautiful?
yeah. Well, this is about my mom and dad, and they have allowed me to tell this story because it was such a profound moment for all of us. My family are dog people. Well, I'm a cat person too, but I'm an animal person, but my whole family is a dog person. We had dogs growing up my entire life. And so when my parents lost their dog or helped it over the Rainbow Bridge, they got really depressed. And they were so sad about it. And when I went out to visit them, I'm in Colorado and I went to Pennsylvania and I was visiting them, I was like, oh my God, my dad, he was just so depressed. I'm like, you've got to get another dog. So I started looking online and I found a little Maltese that would have fit great with them at a shelter. And so I talked my parents into going to check out this dog. So we drove an hour and a half to the shelter. And it was like that little dog was waiting for my parents. That's what it was like. Because we went into this room and this dog runs out and he licks them and he jumps up on their lap and he's all happy. And we had even called ahead of time to make sure if we made this drive that we could complete the adoption that day. And we were assured, yes, you can. And my parents had even bought a letter of recommendation from a vet. And so we gave the letter of recommendation to them. Um, we filled out all the application, and the woman at the desk said, well, we will take your application and give you a call. And oh my God, my dad was so depressed again, and the ride home was so depressing. And my parents on that ride, they decided, this is my dad said, well, they must think we're too old for another dog. And well, that dog would probably outlive both of us. And my mom also chimed in and said, yeah, well, I think maybe someone that volunteered at the shelter actually wanted that dog. So the rest of the drive was really depressing. And for the next 2 days, the energy level in the house was so low. We were having this really major pity party. And we were in the family room and the phone rang. And my dad picks up the phone. He goes, hello, is this Mr. Montgomery? He goes, yes, it is. Mr. Montgomery, you can come get your dog. My dad's, what? Are you serious? Oh my God. Okay, we'll be there. So we took the hour and a half drive to the kennel to pick up the dog. And we just kind of laughed the whole way about all the things we made up. Actually, the reality of it was the person we talked to first didn't know the proper procedure. The dog needed to be neutered and bathed. And the actual application was approved like almost as soon as we left the building. So that lesson in um, watching how your mind makes up stories and believes them to be true, it doesn't work. And it takes away our power. And we need to step into that power and not create stories that don't allow us to be the person that we want to be. Does that make sense?
That is a brilliant story because we're all relating. We're all on the drive with you. We're all going there. And then we're all on the drive back. And how many times have we said those things? It's like and it's assumptions that we assume to be true because it comes from us, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden you get surprised and then you hear the real story. But you know what? The most important thing for me in that story was how did everyone feel for a day and a half? Like when you talk
Mm-hmm.
about taking out your power, because when you start going down that circle and start thinking those things over here, it can blend over here and it can start to make you not feel not just even powerful, but for some people even functional or hopeful or in that vibe or what does it take? And so I think that it's a beautiful story about how this situation completely turned that around. But Laura, I know what you do is you turn that around super quickly. Like
I try. Yeah.
yeah, you try.
No pity parties. No pity parties for me.
Yeah, because it takes you down something that may not even be actual,
Right.
right? What is
And
something that you
okay.
no, look, I mean, you're a master and a shaman and you like I want to talk about bravery before we end our conversation, but what do you do on a steady basis? Like what do you do on a consistent basis to keep yourself vibing high so that you can catch yourself, so that you can live a light life, right? What are some of the things you do, hon?
Well, I am a big proponent of Esther Hicks.
Mhm.
I've seen her like 3 or 4 times live. I was in the hot seat once. And one of the best advice that she gives is think better feeling thoughts. And so when I find myself thinking doom and gloom, I stop myself and I observe myself. That's the big thing is being able to observe yourself from the outside and observe that you're thinking doom and gloom. In fact, I have a story. I have another story. um, in our little town of Manitou Springs in Colorado, we're right at the base of Pikes Peak. It's a gorgeous place. Well, about 10 years ago, maybe 15 years ago, we had a really bad fire. It was in the mountains. We had to evacuate, and that was scary. But then the following year, because all the foliage was gone, the floods came, the rains came, and it flooded our town. And but the advantage that well, what happened is the property values went really down, and it created an opportunity to buy our own retail space on the main street. Well, my husband talked me into it, and I, with some reservation, signed the papers jointly with him. And then the fear set in, and I was like, "Oh my God, what if the town never recovers? Um, what if tourists never come back?" And my husband, who wasn't buying it, said, "Laura, You could choose to think differently about this. You could choose to think of this as the best thing that ever happened to my retirement. Now, in that moment, my panic stopped. I was able to redo my thoughts, and in that moment think that it is the best thing for our retirement. And since then, our town has recovered, property values have tripled, and we have a thriving business on the main drag. So I am so blessed to have a husband or a partner that pointed that out to me. But we can point it out to ourselves if we just observe the way we're thinking. So I kind of try to do that.
Well, you kind of did it nicely. I think everyone's like,
Thank you.
wow, okay. Well, look at there's so much that we could do and so much that we could talk about. And I think that your stories have been incredible in terms of seeing how we can do that for ourselves. And we all need help. I know that you have a flourishing business. And I also know that you have been so kind as everyone who's here, you're going to be putting it into the chat, is a PDF steps to inner peace. Things that can bring us peace on the inside so we can make the right decision, make the right choice, turn things around. And also, one person is going to win because I know, because we're distant and we have great conversation, a distant shamanic Reiki session, and you're going to do a set of 3. So you're going to have your breakthrough because she's going to see you 3 times to make sure that that happens. And of course, that's worth $444 because those are special numbers. So, my friend, we are going to, I'm going to ask a question, and I'm going to think of my question. In the meanwhile, Stephanie, any comment? Did that like ring your bell at all? Like I saw you nodding your head and nodding your head.
Well, it did. Laura, I'm also a huge Esther / Abraham Hicks fan. And, I coach women on removing those blocks around what they're worthy of in love and dating. And it's the same thing. If you tell yourself the whole story about why you are going to be single for the rest of your life and why you've given up on men and there's no good men out there, like your story around the dog, you can spend hours and days taking that vibe down. And it's all based on the story in our heads that we make up. And so the words we choose create our reality. The thoughts we think create our reality. And you articulated it beautifully. So thank you for that. Yes. And really, could you just give us, I know Deb's going to pose the question, but can you tell us like what's one of the main breakthroughs, just one, that you see women make when they do a Reiki healing session with you?
I think one of the main things that happens is they are able to get out of their head and relax. And sometimes we're so in our heads that we all we can hear is our inner critic and we can't hear our higher self. And so in a Reiki session, when I take you down and I clear the energy and those things that get stuck to your energy that aren't yours, and clear your chakras and balance them, people all of a sudden they let go of all that noise and they're able to hear their inner voice. They're able to come into their body and into their higher self in a way that wasn't possible before they walked into the room.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Now, someone's going to be able to have that experience. And so if you don't know how to play, the answer and your email, and you will be contacted if you are the winner. And I talked a lot about how this woman is super brave. She's told me her stories of being a media consultant for some of the funkiest stuff. She truly is a hardcore activist who will go all in on what she believes in. And then she had her download about moving somewhere. She sold everything and went and moved somewhere. Where did she move? Put that in the chat, put the email address, and there you go. So let's show our love. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Claps, emojis, all the things, my beautiful friend. We'll be talking again. And if
Thank you so much.
No,
You're
thank
wonderful.
Oh, you're good too. You're good too. You should see when
Thank
we get
you.
together. It's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. We're talking all the things. Awesome.
Yep.
Awesome. Awesome.